I think so. Hmm. Okay. All right, everyone. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If it's your first time here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome. My name is Michelle Adamas, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co. and in Northern Virginia. If you are watching, I would love for you to say hello. Sheila, hello. How are you? I am so glad you're here. I have to tell you a little funny story. So I first of all, want to thank you all so much for voting. And it's been a lot of fun for me. And it's also helped me to learn what you'd really like to create. And but yesterday I counted twice and we didn't get a clear winner. So it was between A and B. I'm going to continue to invite you to vote on what we create together on Wednesdays, because I just think that it is, we're in this together. And so I love bringing you into the process. And so I'll continue to do that. But going forward, I'm going to limit it to 2 choices. So hopefully we don't have so many ties. And then also to let you know that we are going to be starting that Mixed Media Monday series. It's going to begin on July 15th. It'll be on Mondays at 4, but it will be every other week. So some weeks I'll be going live on Mondays and Tuesdays, and some weeks I'll just be here on Wednesdays. But anyway, I wanted to let you know that. And then I really tried to come up with, something that would meet both A and B. And so I decided, because we haven't done a paint finish in a while, that I was going to share a tone-on-tone paint finish with you. And I'm going to show you several ways to do it. And because I think that for those of you that paint furniture and you're interested in doing something a little different, that it's helpful. And it also has art application and mixed media application. And, it makes terrific backgrounds and you can get really cool effects with it. So that's what we're going to do. And I wonder, can you please let me know, Sheila, if you're hearing me okay? It says that my microphone is working, but I want to make sure that I'm not muted. It still says I am, but if you could just let me know, Sheila, if you can hear me, that would be great. So while we're doing that, I'm going to pull up my project right here. Okay, here we go. And I hope the lighting's okay. It's a little wonky in here today, but I'm going to, let's see if I can do this. I don't know what I've got sitting here. Is it that little thing? All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you, Sheila. So I'm going to bring up some slides, and I want to show you what I'm talking about when I say a tone-on-tone finish. And so this is a tone-on-tone finish, and I'm going to show you a better example in a second. So this is a tone-on-tone finish created with Wiesel paint products. And so this is a secretary that I painted years ago. And let me show you the better example. So when you look at that, you can see that it has a subtle tone-on-tone texture. And this one actually happens to be a little bit raised. And so how I discovered this was that this was several years ago, and this is when the OHE, the 1 Hour Enamel by Wiesel, their clear coats came out. And I was trying it for the first time, was very excited because it allows you to put your pieces in service very, very quickly. And instead of the 30 days that we normally have when we're doing this. But it was my first time using it, and I was having a really hard time with it because I hadn't used it before, and I was applying it like a varnish. So I had this drawer that just was so cloudy because I was using a matte on it. And so I discovered this technique that by using 2 different formulas of Wiesel paint, using the chalk synthesis paint and the OHE, that I could create this beautiful tone-on-tone finish. And you can see here that I actually loved it so much on the drawers that if you look at this picture right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's kind of over to the far right, is I went ahead and I stamped the whole piece. So I used an Iron Orchid design stamp to stamp this, and I really love how it turned out. Then later I was going to I wanted to do it on another piece, but I didn't want to use a stamp. I wanted to use something a little bit different. And so I'm going to show you this technique also. So we're going to use stamps and we're going to use stencils. On this particular piece, it was done with a stencil. And so I hope that's helpful for you to see an example, but imagine that you could do these techniques on a background of some sort. And that could be just another tool in your toolkit, another finish that you can create. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to remove that. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to come up here and let's see. I'm sorry, I'm moving myself all over the place. So I hope that makes sense. But when you think of a tone-on-tone finish, I think the easiest way to think about it is that tone-on-tone usually results from a difference in sheen. So for example, a chalk synthesis paint sealed in matte is going to be matte. And then, but the OHE formula is already out of the can. It's a one-step paint after primer, and it has more of a satin sheen. So when you put the satin on the matte, it gives you that tone-on-tone. So that's where we're going to start, is with that. And then I'm going to show you how to use just top coats to create a finish like this. Okay, so let's get started with that. I'm going to go ahead and switch that up. Let me know if you have any questions as we go along. All right, I have some sample boards here, and I'm also going to be using the IOD Bohemia stamp set. And then I also forgot to grab my my little Mylar stencils. So I will, okay, I got those. So I'm just going to pull out a stencil. I'm going to pull out my stencils over here so that you can see this. So to begin, what we're going to do, I'm going to be using Wise-Owl paints in the color Abyss. And so I'm just going to, we're going to just do this kind of scrappy today. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some paint on here, and we're going to get going on that. I'm just going to do these little sample boards, and I'm going to need my heat gun, which I also didn't get out. I'm so sorry, guys. I am a little discombobulated today. Not too bad, but I thought I was trying to get my little sample pieces and everything. So the idea is that you would paint your piece, whether it's your canvas or your background or whatever you want to do, in your base color. And in this instance, we're going to paint this in the chalk synthesis paint, which dries flat until you seal it. And chalk synthesis paint does need to be sealed. Any chalk paint needs to be sealed with something, right? And so we're going to just do that. And I'm going to grab my heat gun real quick and plug it in. I've got it in my drawer over here. So this is going to be the flat coat, and we are going to have to seal it before we move on to the next step. Okay, hold on. I'm just plugging this in. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to set this over here for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this really quick. And then, so the reason that I chose to do the paint colors in the order that I did, so I started with the chalk synthesis paint because that has to be sealed. And I am going to seal this with a matte sealer. The OHE, however, does not have to be sealed because it is the top coat is built into it. If I had reversed it and say painted this out in 1 hour enamel and then wanted to do the tone-on-tone effect, I really couldn't have done it with the chalk synthesis paint because the chalk synthesis paint has to be sealed and then I would change the sheen of the paint underneath it. So I hope I'm explaining that right. So this is how I first did it before I then learned by trying that you could also do this with top coats. And so the trick to using this with Wise Owl is to use the same color of paint in both formulas. So this is Abyss in chalk synthesis paint, and then we will do the tone on tone with the 1 hour enamel in Abyss also. So not every color in Wise Owl comes with a matching, color in another formula. So here I'm just going to put my top coat on. This is a matte sealer, and I'm just going to put this on, and we'll dry that. I have a little too much, so I'll just dab off on my towel over there. And really, I'm just going to show you how this works. Get it on all the edges. So I've got my top coat on there, and we're going to dry that. And then we will stamp with the 1 hour enamel, and you can see the difference. While this is drying, I wanted to let you know, I know that some of you, thank you so much for signing up for the wait list for the upcoming course collab that I'm participating in. I know some of you did, and I so appreciate it. I would be so excited to have you in that. It's such a neat opportunity. But if you didn't see that post today and you'd like to join the wait list for that, it is going to be not just me, but several artists collaborating together in one course with every one of us doing a different art or home decor DIY tutorial. And so you can just type in the comments hashtag fall, FALL, and you'll get a message and the link through Messenger to do that. And I also, just to thank you, have some fall printables that you'll receive when you join the wait list. So if you're interested in that, please do that. Okay, so this is dry. And now what I want to do is I'm going to take my stamp. I don't have a thin mount with me. I guess I really am discombobulated for sure. So this is just the Bohemia stamp. And the reason I chose it was because it does give us more of like an all over pattern when we use it. And so I wanted to show you how we can do that. Ooh, it's a little sticky. All right. So I'm just going to take out this one. Okay. So imagine my drawer or whatever it is all painted, and now it's sealed, and you can see there's no sheen to it. It's just matte. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the OHE, the 1 hour enamel, also in Abyss. You can even see in the bottles how it's just the sheen that looks a little bit different, but it is the same. It's the same color. So I'm going to put a little bit out on here, and I'm going to use my brayer to apply it to my stamp. I don't want too much on there, so I'm going to glide this over and get my coverage. It would be much easier if I had remembered to grab my thin mount, but I did not. Okay, let's do that. All right. So now what I'm going to do is to lift up my stamp, and I'm going to go right over the top. I don't have to be as particular. I didn't even need to put paint on that whole thing. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay. So I'm just going to gently push down. I may have shifted a little bit, and then I'm going to lift that up. And so now what you can see is I'm going to push this up, see if I can get it here. So can you see the difference in the sheen? Let me know if you can see that. the sound. I see something about the sound. Oh, the sound is awesome. Thank you so much. Is it the sound or how, or the technique? I don't know. So that is how that works, just like that. And so the beautiful thing about this is that this doesn't now need any more sealer. This dries and then it is completely done. And so that is a really fun way. I love to do this on drawers. I've done it, as you saw, on entire pieces of furniture. And I really love the effect of that. It reminds me of just like, you know, a damask or something like that. Just that tone on tone there. Okay. So that's that one. And I'll put that aside over here. So this one, I need to put some baby wipes on this just so I keep that paint. Let me see if I can wipe that off real quick, because the OHE I just want to get as much of that off as I possibly can. So let's talk about if you don't have the two formulas of the paint, each in the same color. All right. And let's talk about how we might do, let's take that OHE again and do a tone on tone effect, but this time with a sealer. And we'll also do that with the chalk synthesis line. So I'm actually going to do two because I want to be able to show you the difference in the sheens that you can get depending on what you do. Oh, actually, I'm going to do, let's do 4. Okay. So I'm going to do, I'm using the OHE because it is, it's already got a sealer in it, so we don't have to stop to dry anything. Okay. So you guys, I'm being really heavy with my paint today. Oh, I'm wasting so much paint. I'll just do another one down here too. I'll just do all of these because I'm always looking. I use these for finished samples for people. And so I can do that. So let me just, save my paint here and just quickly do some because I have just made a big old mess. All right, so I haven't primed these boards. These are just sample boards. And I'm overworking my paint, but we're not painting a piece of furniture. So I don't feel like I have to be, pristine in my technique today. I should just open that. I'll probably open that up and see if I can get that paint back in there. That's what I should have done. Okay. So we're going to paint all 4 of these, and then we're going to do different sheens so I can show you another trick. So this would actually, the OHE is, these samples are actually going to be an example of if you had painted either with just the OHE itself, or let's imagine that you painted a piece with a flat paint, a chalk synthesis paint or chalk style paint, and you decided to put a satin finish on it. So the OHE is really like a satin. It's they say it's between a satin and an eggshell, but honestly, I find that it is, to me, it really is more of a satin than an eggshell. So it does have a sheen to it. Okay. But this one is something that you can do because if you have multiple sheens of sealer top coats, then this technique works really well too. And it doesn't give you the bit of like the raised texture that the others, that the stamping of the OHE does. So hold on. Let's do this. We're going to paint these up and then we can hit them all at once. There go my nails. Okay. So I've got these done. I'm going to put this in some water, get this off my hands real quick. So see, this is still, it's just about dry. And I just love that. Okay. So let's do this with we're going to do a couple with a stamp, and then we're going to do a couple with a stencil. Okay. So let me just dry these up real quick. All right. How are we doing? Sheila, I think it's just you and me, girlfriend, today. So you've got my full attention. Ask any questions you have. Okay, just gonna dry these. I want to show you that you could take a satin finish and do a kind of like a reverse. So let's try this with a matte top coat, and you still get that tone on tone. It's just that then the design is matte instead of satin, so that can work too. I probably need 2 coats of this, but because it's going into my unfinished wood. But let's see what I can do. I started to have these already, and then I thought it might be helpful for you to actually see the process start to finish. And so I thought we would do that. Let me know what you're doing for the 4th of July. Do you have plans, Sheila? Are you doing anything fun? Yes, you're getting a private lesson. Isn't that fun? That's fun, right? That works. That works for me too. I appreciate you being here so much. Okay. All right, I'm going to do one more coat on this one, and then we're going to start. So I've got a new brush, and hopefully this isn't too dried out already. So I'm getting to use up that paint, which makes me feel better. Get that on there. This is such a pretty color. I love, love, love this color. It's kind of more of a teal, but in a, there we go. All right, so let's dry this up. The others are going to show up really great, but I want to make sure that you can see this really, really well. You have no plans? Yeah, I will be here. So my son and my husband do an event at Mount Vernon in Virginia every 4th of July. And I have been, and it's really wonderful. But there really isn't much for me to do because I'm not part of the reenacting group. So they do Revolutionary War reenacting, and they've been doing it since our oldest was in grade school, I believe. And so anyway, they're going to be doing that. And so I am going to be doing some cleaning and organizing, some reading, and I've got some like the voiceover to do for a video. So I'm going to get that done. And then, yeah, so we're going to go from there. But really my job, once the fireworks start, is going to be keeping our gunner, you know, from losing his little mind, because the fireworks are not his favorite thing. I don't think they are for most animals, but I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, fireworks are fireworks. It's just kind of part of the 4th of July, right? So we are going to get a new brayer, and let's see. I hope I got another one over here. I do. Okay. So we're going to get a new brayer, and this is the one that we've done. So you can see it already has a little bit of a sheen, right? So let's take this one and let's kind of do a different sheen on this, but let's reverse the look and do this as a matte on this. So I think I'm just going to take one of these and I'll just do it a couple of times so that you can see. Okay, I've got to clean that other one off. So I'm going to take a little bit of my matte sealer this time. And again, this is like the satin finish. And so I'm going to just do a little bit here, and we're going to roll that out, and I'm going to roll it on my stamp. And then I want to do a matte, more of a matte look on this. So I'm going to take this here. I just shifted the heck out of that. Okay, and then I want to do, it's not really the best design for this, I guess. like this, and it's going to have to dry. Let me see if I can get this on this stamp, even though it's got the OHE on it, because this just works better. I'm going to have some stamp cleaning to do for sure, like immediately when I get done. Okay, so I'm just going to lay that in place, and I'm going to gently tap because it's super moist and I don't want it to spread out too much, right? Okay, and now in order for you to see that, I'm going to need to dry it. I can put my glasses on and see what you're saying. Okay, let's see what you're saying. Yeah, it's really it is hard for them, but they, how can you deny someone fireworks, right? I don't love it when they do the great big ones in the neighborhood because I feel like it's like a fire hazard if it lands on somebody's house. But like if you're out in a park or something at a fireworks show, then then that works too. So this one is a little different, but again, you can see that tone on tone effect. You can see the difference in the sheen. So here it is with the satin, which is my preference, but I wanted you to see that you can also get that just with that top coat difference. Okay. So on this one, let's take it even further. This is a satin finish, and I'm going to wipe this off and make sure my lids are all on my paints. I'm going to take this one, clean this off, and we're going to do let's do a semi-gloss, and then we'll do a gloss, and you can see the difference in that, okay? Let me know if you are thinking of ways that you can do this other than furniture. I think it would be beautiful as a background to an art piece, as just something interesting. Doing a tone-on-tone effect on something like that would be really cool. I'm going to just bear with me while I'm saving my supplies, Sheila. I'm saving my supplies. That's important, right? All right, let me grab a stencil. Let me choose a stencil here and see. This one's going to need to sit on that. All right, let's just choose a little stencil here. I don't know. What have I got? Let's do, I want it to be something that's going to show up. Got this one. Let's do, I was looking for this one in particular that I thought would be fun. This could be fun. This is just like a little mixed media stencil. So let's do this one because you'll be able to see the diamond patterns on it. And so for this, I'm just going to use a sponge or a sponge dauber. I don't have any pixie spray or anything like that on this. So, that's going to be an issue. But so since this is a satin, let's go with our semi-gloss sealer. And then we'll do one with gloss so that you can see the difference. Yeah, a background for mixed media would be really, really cool, Sheila. That's what I think. So on Mixed Media Monday, we will do that. And again, that starts on the 15th at 4 o'clock. And I'm going to be working in a mixed media journal. And I looked for the journal that I'm using and I cannot find it anymore. Maybe you can. I'll tell you the name of it. It's by Dina Wakely, and it is their mixed canvas journal. It's fairly large, but I love that one for techniques. I have several. I have one that I just kind of, journal traditionally in. And I have one, and I usually pull out from that to add it to my other journals. And then I have one where I just try different techniques. And then I'm starting this new one that is just for, whatever I want to do in it. And so I looked for that one, but it's the Dina Wakely. It's a large. The cover is black, and it is a mixed canvas journal. So I couldn't find it on Amazon. Ranger didn't have it because Dina Wakely is a licensed artist, I believe, through Ranger. Okay. And yeah, so I've got this. So you can start to see. So here we've got a semi-gloss on here. And when that dries, I'll show you that too. And then I want to get one that's going to show up even a little bit better. So I'm going to use one of my favorites and we'll do the gloss. Okay. So I'm going to do this, clean up my brayer. So we'll just do this last one. Let me get something different on here. This is just palette paper, which I love. If you don't have that, I actually get my own palette paper by every time I go through a sheet of labels, I use that paper and it works really well. So let me show you again. Let me know, Sheila, if you can see that. Maybe the diamonds weren't the best choice, but you can see that tone on tone difference. And this is just with top coat. So that works really well. So let me find one that hasn't been. All right. So for this next one, let's do the gloss. Now, I usually don't use a gloss sealer, but I do love it for ornaments and, you know, some things like that. So let me make sure I've got the dry one. I do. All right. So I'm using a gloss sealer. And I'm going to dab in here, dab off a little bit. And again, I'm not using the, I don't have any pixie spray on this. So I'm just dabbing. So I really think it's a really easy finish to create. And I think it just has beautiful results. But that, you know, that's just me. Not everybody likes that, but I just think it's such a pretty subtle difference. And you don't have to have contrast to have interest, right? Contrast in color anyway. All right, so I think this one's going to show up pretty well. Let me just dry this real quick. And then you'll be able to see this. So this is a gloss over a satin finish, which is the OHE. And if I had done this against a matte finish, it would show up even more. And then if you wanted to, I mean, you could layer elements and things like that. I do feel that using the top coat is the most subtle. And then I'll show you those examples one more time. You can see the diamonds. Oh, good. I'm so glad you can see them over here. Yay. Probably because it's dry now. That helps. Okay. So let's see what we've got, guys. All right. So we did the Abyss Chalk Synthesis paint. I'm trying to get it in the light there. Okay. The Abyss Chalk Synthesis paint stamped with the 1 hour enamel in the same color. So these are both Abyss. And then this one, we did a gloss top coat with a stencil over the 1 hour enamel, which is satin. And so you get that it's the same color, but it's a tone on tone effect. And then this one we did, it's a little more subtle in comparison. So this is the really more shiny. And this is a little more subtle because we just went with a semi-gloss over a satin finish. So I'm going to show you those examples that I showed you one more time. 1 second here. Oops, they're already here. All right. So this is the one that was done with, I can't even remember what I sealed this with, but I do know that I went up in sheen. So I had sealed the paint finish and then I went up. At least this one appears to be that I went up 2 sheens. So for example, if I had painted this black and I probably sealed it in matte because that's my preference, then that stencil is done with a semi-gloss. So I went up 2 sheens. And then this is another example like the OHE. So this is the Inkwell Chalk Synthesis paint sealed in matte and stamped with the Inkwell in the 1 hour enamel, which is satin. And then here you can see that it's possible to do this technique over in an entire piece of furniture using a stamp. This is a retired stamp by IOD. Colleen, Furniture Facelift by Colby, told me the correct name. I think it might be Ode to something Ballard or something like that. But it is, yeah, so that is a retired paint set. So I'm going to see what we've got. In a metallic, it might work too. Yes, so you could do a, you could absolutely do that with the top coats, right? So it's just a matter of just always think sheen. So if you, what is the sheen that I want to create underneath? And then you want to go up 1 or 2 levels, you can go up a third. So if you did a matte, you could go all the way up to gloss, but you don't have to. And so I'm going to just remove that and do that. There we go. Okay. So you want to think of it in sheens. And so that really is the trick. And, you know, we discover things when sometimes, what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention or something like that. So when I was pulling my hair out over that secretary and that cloudy drawer, I didn't want to have to strip it or keep repainting it or anything like that. And so I just thought, I wonder if I did this, if it would make a difference. And it did. And so that's how I discovered that I could do that with the OHE over a flat paint and then not have to worry about the sealer. You always, and if you know, so just think of what you've sealed your paint with if you have to. So if, for example, if you're using an all-in-one paint like a Fusion or something like that, then I would definitely say that you could do this technique using just a top coat. You don't need another, you know, a color, because I think Fusion just has the one formula. So in that instance, you can still create a look like this, but you would do it with top coat. So anyway, again, thank you so much for voting. Just had, you know, another heads up that I'll be giving 2 choices next week for Wednesday. And mixed media won't be one of the choices because, I mean, something might turn into a little mixed media, but it won't be the sole focus, because that'll happen every other Monday at 4 o'clock. Beginning on July 15th. So anyway, so Sheila, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. So if you have any questions, if you watch this on replay, thank you. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will answer them as soon as I possibly can. If you do this technique, I'd love to see your projects. I love it when you share your projects with me. I get such a kick out of it, and I love to encourage you and, you know, just be another, you know, I just love to encourage you. So anyway, thanks for joining me, Sheila. I really appreciate it. It was fun to be here with you tonight. And I will see you next week. And I hope your 4th is safe or relaxing, or, you know, whatever it is you choose to do with that day. I hope that it's terrific. So somebody else was here too. And so I'll just say hello and then goodbye real quick. So, oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining from YouTube. I appreciate that. So anyway, take care, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I always love to be here with you, and I will see you next week. Have a great, safe 4th and a happy weekend too. All right. Bye-bye.